All right. So last time we have this print old function that we're essentially saying, okay, we can call this with any person. We can just throw in here. When we defined our person schema up here. And yeah, that was all great. But now the thing is bothering me where this is old doesn't really make sense. Um, After all, for me, if I'm older than 23, I am old, and if I'm younger than 23, I'm not old. Or if since Brandon is younger than 23, he's not old. So we don't need this data from the user in order to basically tell if someone is old or not. We can determine that based on their age. So we can declare our own function again that takes in a person. And notice this, we have a return type on this function now, where we say person age greater than 23. So this is another little sneaky primitive function. There's a lot of math stuff in here. Um, these little, this little one, just like for math, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, equals. They're all primitive operations. Um, so now we have this function, and we can say, okay, person, instead of saying person is old, let's get rid of that definition from here. We can remove these values because we don't need them anymore. And instead of doing that, we can say, okay, is old person. So now, instead of getting the value from the user directly, we say, okay, we can know whether or not this is true or false based on the person's age. And we can say, okay, anytime we want to know if they're old, we can call this function and give it this person and say, okay, is this person old or not? Now this is a little weird because you don't want to just have a bunch of these like free floating functions um, around, just hanging out. It's kind of weird because like in code, once you get to like big enterprise applications or once you like start developing anything at scale, okay, organization is a problem, and every developer has their own way to organize things. But if you try to do something like this, you're going to get yelled at in most languages. Um, so instead, okay, we say, okay, instead of just having this function standalone, we can have it as a part of this person. So now in here, we have access to these values. So we can get rid of this person from the caller, and we can just do is age greater than 23, and it will return true or false. So this is in here, but how do we access it down here? Well, it's a lot easier. Um, so we can remove this, and then we can just do the dot operator gets a property from within an object. So now this, if I do person dot is old with these parentheses, these indicate a function call, versus just the dot name of a variable. Um, this will call this function and say, okay, is my age greater than 23? True. Cool. Um, so now we can do that again down here. And we can say, okay, let's run this. Yeah, same output, everything looks good, and we have a much more organized um, sort of thing here. Now you say, okay, wait, Tom, this function has a person as a parameter. Can we also put this function inside of this class? Yes, we can. So we can take this, move it up here, remove this person. Whoops, need those parentheses still. We can say, okay, let's remove this person name from everywhere. And now, as you can see by the purple, lovely purple highlighting, we have the same sort of thing, but it just uses the instance that it has access to. So it's important to know that for each one of these like name, age, like person that is defined, there is one instance of this function. Because if you notice, so now if we do Brandon, print old, and we can do Tom, print old, you see that the output is the same because these functions are bound to whatever values these are. So in essence, it's like a different function was called for each person that you generate. So these two functions are not quite the same. And yeah, that really slimmed down our code, and we were able to package it nicely into a single class.